When you feel anxious, overwhelmed, or stuck in your own thoughts, you're facing a question that humans have been trying to answer for thousands of years. What exactly is the mind, and how do you deal with it? Today, many people turn to modern psychology for answers. But long before psychology became a science, Gautama Buddha dedicated his entire life to understanding the mind through direct observation. So who understands the mind better, Buddhism or psychology? At first glance, they seem very different. Psychology is based on research, experiments, and clinical studies. It uses data, therapy models, and neuroscience to explain how the mind works. Buddhism, on the other hand, is based on introspection. It looks inward, using meditation and awareness to explore thoughts, emotions, and consciousness, but when you look closer, something interesting happens. These two approaches often point to similar truths, even though they come from completely different directions. Psychology tends to ask, how can we reduce suffering and improve mental health? Buddhism asks, why does suffering exist in the first place, and can it end completely? One focuses on management. The other aims at complete transformation. Modern psychology has made incredible progress in understanding patterns of thought and behavior. It explains how trauma shapes your reactions, how habits form, how beliefs influence emotions. Cognitive behavioral therapy, for example, shows how negative thoughts can distort your perception and create anxiety or depression. This aligns closely with what Buddha observed. He taught that the mind creates suffering through patterns of thinking, through craving, aversion, and ignorance. When you believe every thought, when you resist unpleasant experiences, and when you misunderstand the nature of reality, you suffer. Psychology might say, challenge your negative thoughts. Buddhism might say, observe your thoughts without identifying with them. Psychology might say, challenge your negative thoughts. Buddhism might say, observe your thoughts without identifying with them. Different language, similar direction, but there is a key difference in depth. Psychology often works within the framework of the self. It helps you build a healthier identity, improve self-esteem, and function better in daily life. It asks, how can you become a better version of yourself? Buddhism questions the very idea of the self. It suggests that what you call you is not a fixed entity, but a constantly changing process. Thoughts, emotions, perceptions, they arise and pass away. There is no permanent core behind them. This is a radical shift. While psychology may strengthen your sense of self, Buddhism investigates whether that self is real in the way you think it is. This difference leads to two very different goals. Psychology aims to make you feel better. Buddhism aims to free you completely from suffering. But this doesn't mean one is right and the other is wrong. They operate at different levels. Imagine someone struggling with anxiety. Psychology can offer tools to manage it, breathing techniques, cognitive restructuring, exposure therapy. These methods are practical and effective. They can significantly improve quality of life. Buddhism would approach the same problem differently. It would ask, what is anxiety made of? What happens when you observe it closely? Is it permanent? Is it truly yours? Can it exist without the thoughts that feed it? Instead of trying to fix anxiety directly, it changes your relationship to it. In many cases, combining both approaches can be powerful. Psychology provides structure and support. Buddhism provides deep insight. Another major difference is how each views happiness. Psychology often sees happiness as something to increase, more positive emotions, more satisfaction, more well-being. It focuses on building a life that feels good. Buddhism takes a more subtle view. It points out that chasing positive experiences can actually lead to more suffering. Because everything is temporary, even happiness fades. And when it does, you feel the loss. So instead of chasing happiness, Buddhism focuses on understanding the nature of experience itself. It aims for a kind of peace that is not dependent on constant pleasure. This doesn't mean you stop enjoying life. It means you stop relying on it to stay a certain way. There's also a difference in how each approach deals with thoughts. Psychology often works with thoughts, analyzing them, reframing them, replacing negative ones with more balanced ones. It treats thoughts as something you can actively change. Buddhism goes one step further. It asks, What if you don't need to change every thought? What if you can simply see them as temporary events in the mind? When you stop identifying with thoughts, they lose some of their power. You don't have to believe every story your mind tells. This shift can be incredibly freeing, but it requires practice. It's not something you understand once and immediately master. It comes from repeatedly observing your mind, seeing patterns, and gradually loosening your attachment to them. Another area where Buddhism goes deeper is in the concept of craving. Psychology recognizes that excessive desire and avoidance can cause problems. But Buddhism places craving at the center of suffering. It says that the constant wanting things to be different, wanting more, wanting less, is what keeps the mind restless. Even subtle craving, like wanting a moment to last longer, creates tension. When you start to see this in your own experience, you realize how often your mind is not at rest. It is always moving towards something or away from something. Psychology might help you manage this movement. Buddhism tries to stop the cycle entirely. But this raises an important question: is it realistic? Not everyone is seeking complete liberation from suffering. Most people just want to feel better, function well, and live a meaningful life. In that sense, psychology is more immediately accessible. Buddhism requires a deeper level of commitment. It asks you to question your assumptions, observe your mind consistently, and let go of things you've always identified with. For some, this is too abstract or challenging. For others, it is exactly what they are looking for. So who understands the mind better? If better means practical tools for improving mental health, psychology has a clear advantage. It is structured, evidence-based, and adaptable to different individuals. If better means understanding the root cause of suffering and exploring the deepest layers of consciousness, Buddhism offers insights that go far beyond conventional frameworks. But maybe this is the wrong way to look at it. Instead of asking which one is better, it might be more useful to see how they complement each other. Psychology can guide you through immediate struggles. It can help you stabilize, understand your patterns, and build healthier habits. Buddhism can take you further. It can show you the underlying mechanisms of the mind, the nature of thoughts, and the possibility of freedom beyond temporary solutions. In a way, psychology helps you navigate the surface of the ocean. Buddhism invites you to explore its depth. Both are valuable, and ultimately, the real understanding doesn't come from choosing one over the other. It comes from looking at your own mind, right now, not as a theory, not as an idea, but as a direct experience. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? How are you reacting? When you start paying attention, you begin to see patterns. You begin to notice how thoughts arise, how emotions shift, how reactions form, and in that observation, something changes. Because understanding the mind is not just about knowledge, it's about awareness, and whether you approach it through psychology, Buddhism, or both, that awareness is where real change begins. Thanks for watching. Our channel is new and needs your support. In our channel you can find many videos on the history and philosophical teachings of Buddhism. Please subscribe to our channel to support the teachings of Buddha on YouTube.